All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is you too. This is Pastor Dow. This weekend we had Brother Ron and Brother Junior from Covenant Community visit. With their family here at Straightway, and it wasn't until after Shabbat service because see what I did was is I gave, excuse me, what I did was I gave. All the men in the ministry, hopefully, some type of wisdom going forward, as we are definitely living in times of uncertainty, and we understand that police officers are trigger happy. They're full of fear, and their gun is not the last resort; it is the first resort, and it's just a sad situation. But anyway, I know that there's a lot going on in the world. I haven't been abreast of the news lately because I've been out working a lot, laying block and building and whatsoever. And so I've heard a few stories. For instance, I heard that a black man just in Virginia, I believe it was, just came up and just shot a reporter, two of them, and the person being interviewed, and then turned the gun on himself and killed himself. That is selfish. That is selfish as hell. I definitely condemn the acts. I think, but I do know what's going on. I really, truly do. And I, if I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. For every action, there is a equal reaction. It's just like the law of gravity. And then I heard news that there was a police officer in Houston. He was pumping gas, and a black man came up and shot him in the head and then put two more bullets in his cavity. And of course, I told you all, go back and look at my videos. You only have to go back a few months. You can go back longer than that. I told you that what happens is this, and this is not even the scope of this video, but I'm gonna try to explain to you what's happening. What's happening is that when people who have had a history of oppression, and surely oppression will make a wise man mad. And I tell you, I look at the videos, I see the evidence, court of public opinion, outside of the scope of a system that calls itself justice and lawful. You're not going to get, nor are you going to receive any justice from a dishonest, unlawful system. They're just simply not going to do it. We do not function in a system that believes that it's public servants. We're in a communist nation. But the court of public opinion, especially when there's a lot of heinous acts perpetuated against a particular group of people. And now that we have YouTube, all these type of video, social media outlets, people start viewing this stuff, and there's something that rises up inside of them. It's called vengeance. And a spirit of any human being can only take so much. And most people, especially given the economic uncertainty that we're faced with in this country, when people have nothing to lose, they lose it. And so when they immerse and soak themselves in the videos to where you constantly seeing black people murdered on a daily basis by the very system that is supposed to be in place to protect all citizens from evil. And when they don't see this, there's a spirit that rises up in them, and then vengeance does, and there's no hope. They don't care anymore. They just simply don't care. And you'll see videos in Kansas and them where a guy, he puts a Coke can down on the ground. He dares anybody to touch it. I dare anybody to touch it. It don't make no difference who it is, police or whatsoever at all. And this guy was not armed at all. I think he may have had a knife or something in his hand, but them police, man, when he got there, they didn't ask no questions. There had two of them just lit him up. And of course, we see videos on here. Sandra Bland. You know, she got pulled over for failure to signal. And she ended up dead. And I guess investigation is still going on. And mind you, everybody tells us we do not need to rush to judgment. Amazing, isn't it? I see evil taking place all across this land, but people in the United States of America have to understand that black people are oppressed and have experienced nothing but oppressions. And I understand how at times it can be hard for white people who have never, ever had too much dealings with blacks and have never been on the other end of the whip or the other end of Jim Crow laws. I can see how that they can be blinded to exactly what's going on itself. And people ask me all the time, why come you don't ever speak about heinous crimes against whites? Well, there's plenty of people out there doing that. I mean, it's obvious if you look at me, you can tell I'm not a white man. What I'm doing is bringing attention to something that's just, you know, it's utterly swept up under the rug. Now it can't even be swept up under the rug. There's not even a rug to be, or anything to be swept up under no more. It's just that I watch the people who get angry and upset anytime you point out these injustices that are going on with this system, because this power is corrupting, and it is corrupted absolutely. And I watch the people get angry and upset even more so. It's just like up here in this country town. You know, you after the South Carolina ruling, almost every other vehicle has either rebel flag or Confederate flag license plate. I can't really call it Confederate flag because I know that these ignorant people do not know the history of the Confederate flag. But that's what they call it. So we'll just go along with it. So they have it on their license plates. It's all, they've taken down the American flag and flew nothing but Confederate flag. I could actually drive around and make videos and show you, and you'd be literally appalled. Now, my people up here, we're the only blacks that I know of that live in this community. I think maybe total there could be, I don't know, let me see, that actually live in Lafayette as far as black people. I'd probably say there's probably less than 15 of us out of maybe a small town of 22,000 people. And I'm the only preacher. Now you have to understand, I am not a pastor to these people. And a lot of times, you know, when I'm doing business, people ask, what should I call you? I tell them, call me Charles Dow, because I am not your pastor. And I'm not being funny. I'm not being insensitive, but it's just the truth. I'm not your pastor, so you don't have to call me pastor, and I don't expect it, and neither will it offend me. I'm only a pastor to those who hear. So it doesn't trouble me whatsoever at all. I'm not like other people that, you know, you must and have to call me this. That's only for those who are following me as I follow Christ. But it's a sad thing because we do not know the cop in Houston, whether he was a good cop or bad cop. But hey, what's happening is that all cops are receiving a bad rap based on the injustices of maybe half the police force. And so therefore, in the public eye, you're all evil. That's just the way that people view it, especially when you go from one state to another, to another, to another, and then you see the system that's supposed to be prosecuting and doing justice. There's no justice. I mean, that's the reason why we have civilization. The reason why we have civilization is because, you know, we're people who are a nation that is operated by laws. That means if somebody do you wrong, there's supposed to be a system of justice to be able to adjudicate these matters to make sure that equality and fairness is taking place all across the board, no matter what nationality or color you are. But it's just simply not happening. It's not happening. The people understand and sense it. And so they are going to end up taking justice in their own hands. And it's sad to say, because I grieve for the lives of people that are being snuffed out in the day that we live in, when people are trying to do their best to carve out a living. But I told you that cops are going to start dying on these streets. It's It's cause and effect. It's action, reaction. It's problem, reaction, solution. It's gravity. What goes up must come down. It's just the way that nature works. And when people decide to take it upon themselves to get vengeance or to do law, because civilized law is not there to prosecute the evil people, even if they work for the system, then they're going to take the law in their own hands. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it's going to be. And mark my words, you're going to start seeing in the news more police officers die. And it doesn't have to take, you look at the word, they say gun violence. Okay, so if I kill somebody with a pencil, are we going to start calling it pencil violence? See, it's all psychological here. No, you had violent people who use the gun to commit crimes. That's proper speech. That's how you really, truly define it. Well, anyway, I start off this video talking about Brother Ron and Brother Junior from Covenant Community. They came down to visit us, and they got pulled over in Gallatin, Tennessee. Now, Gallatin, Tennessee is notorious for being corrupt. The police force is corrupted. The whole thing is corrupt. Notorious for it. And man, you want to start making a lot of money, just become a cop in Gallatin. And that's just the word on the street. And it makes no difference who you are, but they do racially profile. So anyway, now let me give you a little history on Brother Ron. Brother Ron is a professional truck driver. That means that he's a trucker. And if there's anyone that knows about the laws of the road and everything, he does. Does that mean at times that we all may have lapses and at times may speed or break the law or something like that? Sure, we all may. I mean, we do. I mean, one day, just the other day, I was coming back from Covenant Community, and you have to remember, it's been something long time ago. I used to live in Germany, and I remember being over here in the United States of America, and Sister Carol and I was just trucking right on down the road, Interstate 40. It was coming from Arkansas going to Tennessee. And there was a stretch of road, and I mean, I looked down, I was doing 120 something miles an hour. And all of a sudden it just entered my head, man, these people are going slow. And I looked down and I quickly remembered, I am not in Germany anymore on the Autobahn. I am in the United States of America. They wouldn't have cared if I told them I was in Germany and I just had a moment to lapse. No, I am endangering public safety by the laws of this land. And they would have probably threw me under the jail, took my license and everything else, even though I've had years of experience driving in high speeds in Germany. That's another country, different laws. And I guess they would have been right. It would have been up to the discretion of the police officer, which I wouldn't have gotten any at all, because I was a soldier at the time. A squeaky clean driving record. But I was moving out. I mean, literally moving out. And I quickly slowed down to 65. And when I slowed down to 65 miles an hour, Sister Carol and I was like, man, this is slow. But we had to get acclimated back to the driving over here in the United States of America, to where we just about coast on the road. But anyway, nevertheless, Brother Ron and Junior is passing through Gallatin, Tennessee. He gets pulled over. He asked the police officer, why are you pulling me over? And the police officer said, for following too close. Brother Ron proceeds to say, sir, I hear what you're saying, but I was not following too close. He said, yeah, you were, you're supposed to be 9 feet back. Because, who knows what 9 feet is when you're driving. And Brother Ron said, sir, I was not following too close. So the police officer told him, get out of the car. So they got out of the car, him and Junior. I'm glad they complied. Because these people, you have to understand, we're dealing with a lawless system. And man, you may get to that day, could have been the day you got shot. And the only story would have been told, because dead people don't talk, is the police officer. They can fabricate, and they do it all the time, make up anything. for following too close. Brother Ron and Brother Junior, and let me say this, they are black men, one from New York, one from New Jersey. Very good brothers. They got frisked on the side of the road. They called out the police cars and the dogs. They had the dogs sniff them, sniff the vehicle for drugs. When they didn't find anything, they gave them a warning citation and sent them on. See, what the police was doing was looking for an upsell. They were looking for something wrong so that they could charge you by, because that's how the city of Gallatin makes a lot of money. Illegal searches and seizures. And of course, you know, you feel violated after you have an experience like that, and you're angered. But Brother Ron is a very humble man. And he kept his composure. I'm glad Junior kept his mouth shut too. Because these police officers today will kill you and tell a lie and fabricate a story. And it's good that they actually got out of that situation without experiencing some form of pain or death, because they could have just beat them up with anything and stuff. Because, you know, it ain't that people in the world are scared of police officers. They're human beings like anybody else. We've been conditioned in this country to have some form of respect for the government, but the people are losing respect because those police officers ain't no different than anybody else that's walking around on the street. And don't think when you see police officers beating up on human beings that they're afraid of the police officers. No, they're not afraid of the police officers. They're afraid of what the law does after the fact of what the police officers have done. Because most police officers are cowards and bullies, and they use their badge and their gun and their uniform. Who knows? Maybe they got picked on and beat up when they were young, and they have a personal vendetta against humanity and stuff, and they figure they go into a place of authority so they can bully people, and that's just what they do. But you see that a lot of Americans just simply ain't gonna put up with no bullying tactics, and we're watching things become very, 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 very sensitive, and people are quick today. What can we expect? Well, we can expect more death, hell, and destruction. We can expect more civil unrest. We can expect things to go from bad to worse. It's not going to get any better. So my advice is, and I try to follow his advice myself because I have to calm my spirit down. I'm not a man of war, meaning that I like going to war, I like fighting. But I do try to make sure that I keep myself in some physical condition. I do try to make sure that I spend time trying to practice things that I've learned in the past, because you just never know when you may need to use them. And I do it simply because when you do things enough, it becomes nature, and you don't have to think about it. It's an automatic reaction when certain things take place. And I would advise everyone to stay very proficient in some form of discipline, be it boxing, MMA, martial arts, if you are, just so you can keep your mind in a state of readiness, because you never know when you may need it. And stay very proficient if you are allowed to carry a firearm. Stay very proficient on it. You know, we was going over statistics here at God's Gathering of the Saints, and when police start shooting, and mind you, they supposed to be professionals, right? They hit less than 7% of their targets. That means bullets is flying everywhere. You know, people mostly die by stray bullets rather than an officer actually hitting the suspect, unless the suspect like 5 feet in front of him. But anyway, we live in an unjust world. Discretion needs to be exercised. Do not expect, and this is the problem today, we expect a system that made an oath and swore by the Constitution to actually follow it. They're not going to follow it. See, when you have this knowledge, then you understand what you're up against, and then you'll know how to navigate in this world. I hope I said something to give you wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because the ideal is today is not the day to die for a cause that is meaningless. But the day is coming when you will have to stand and you will have to either kill or be killed. One of the two. You either have to kill or be killed. None of us get to pick the day, the hour, or the time when evil, wickedness, or injustice is coming in front of us. I could go out this every single day. I go outside this gate. It's a hazard. There could be a possibility that could be the last day the saints on the land. That could be the last day my wife ever sees me alive. She'll see me again probably in a bodysuit or in a casket. That could be a possibility because we live in that type of environment. That's why I believe in you securing yourself and your person. You stay sober when you're out in the world. You be vigilant. Because we live in a very untrustworthy world and untrustworthy times. And everybody is hating everybody, and everybody is offended at everybody. I have no friends outside of the ones that I know in the ministry. I view, so I can keep myself sober, the whole entire world as my enemies. And I'm safe there, because that way I know how to honor them and they know how to honor me. So assess every situation. Do not let your feelings and emotions run crazy. Stay in control. This is the best advice I can give you. Morning talk here. Pastor Dow. Shalom. Y'all have a good day.